The race session is at OKYAMA International Circuit in OKYAMA, Japan. The wind speed is 1 km/h from the northeast. Carrie Smith is first. Huggy 65 from Australia is P2. Huggy is third. F1 RFAN from Australia is fourth. L3 Thalfork3 from Australia is P5. Longi from Australia is 6th. BZR 5150 from Australia is P7. Eatnik is 8th. Chris Osley is 9th. 20 minutes remaining in the session. Race start. F1 RFAN is P1. F1 RFAN is now third. F1 RFAN passed Huggy for P3. Carrie Smith from Singapore in first corner is P3. Huggy in Moss S is P4. Longi in Atwood Curve is P5. L3 Thalfork3 in Hairpin is P6. BZR 5150 in Piper is P7. Alphonse from Australia in Redman is P8. Eatnik is P9. Chris Osley is P11, 0.1 behind Steve Ogier. Longi in Williams is P4, 0.4 behind Carrie Smith. L3 Thalfork3 in Atwood Curve is P5, 0.1 ahead of Alphonse. L3 Thalfork3 is now fourth. BZR 5150 on lap 2 is 5th, 0.2 behind L3 Thalfork3. Huggy is P6, 0.5 behind BZR 5150. Huggy 65 in Hairpin on lap 2 is 10th, 0.5 behind Chris Osley. Alphonse is P3. Best lap is a 2:01.218. 2.778 off the fastest lap. L3 Thalfork3 in Hobbs on lap 2 is 4th, 0.3 ahead of BZR 5150. BZR 5150 in last corner is P5, 0.3 behind L3 Thalfort 3. Etenik in first corner is 7th battling Hagi. Etenik was 0.6 faster last lap. Chris Osley is P8, 0.3 behind Etenik. Steve O'Jayer from Australia in Atwood Curve is P9, 0.2 behind Chris Osley. "15 minutes remaining in the session. Huggy 65 is P11, 0.4 behind Kerry Smith. Alphonse in Piper is P2, 0.4 behind F1 RFAN. BZR 5150 in Redman is 5th, 0.5 ahead of Etenik. BZR 5150 is now P6. BZR 5150 is now P5. Alphonse in last corner is P2, 0.3 behind F1 RFAN. L3 Thalfort 3 in first corner is P4, 0.2 behind Longi. BZR 5150 is P5, 0.3 behind L3 Thalfort 3. Etenik in Atwood Curve on lap 4 is 6th, 0.4 behind BZR 5150. Steve O'Jayer is P8, 0.5 behind Chris Osley. Etenik in Revolver is P5, 0.3 ahead of BZR 5150. BZR 5150 in Redman is P6, 0.4 behind Etenik. Steve O'Jayer is P8. BZR 5150 is P6, 0.1 behind Etenik. Steve O'Jayer is 8th battling Chris Osley. F1 RFAN in Atwood Curve is P3, 0.1 behind Longi. F1 RFAN passed Longi for P2. Longi from Australia is 3rd, 0.2 behind F1 RFAN. F1 RFAN in Hairpin is 3rd, 0.1 behind Longi. F1 RFAN passed Longi for 2nd. Longi is third, 0.2 behind F1 RFAN. L3 Thal43 in Hobbs is P4, 0.3 behind Longi. Evo JR in last corner is P6, 0.1 ahead of BZR 5150. Evo JR lost P6 to BZR 5150. Chris Osley in first corner on lap 6 is 8th, 0.4 behind Evo JR. 10 minutes remaining in the session. L3 Thal43 in Moss S is P4, 0.4 behind Longi. Evo JR in Atwood Curve is 6th, 0.2 ahead of BZR 5150. Evo JR was 1.0 faster last lap. BZR 5150 is 8th, 0.1 behind Chris Osley. Eatnik in Piper is 6th, 0.2 behind Evo JR. Chris Osley in Redman is P7. Best lap is a 150.364. 1.857 off the fastest lap. BZR 5150 is 8th, 0.3 behind Chris Osley. Chris Osley is P7 battling Eatnik. Chris Osley passed Eatnik for P6. Eatnik in Williams is 7th, 0.3 ahead of BZR 5150. Eatnik lost 7th to BZR 5150. Longi is 3rd, 0.6 behind F1 RFAN. BZR 5150 in Hairpin is 8th, 0.2 behind Eatnik. L3 Thal43 is P4, 0.4 behind Longi. BZR 5150 in Hobbs is P8. Best lap is a 150.799. 2.292 off the fastest lap. Longi is 3rd, 0.2 ahead of L3 Thal43. L3 Thal43 in first corner is P4, 0.1 behind Longi. Evo JR in Moss S is P5, 0.1 behind L3 Thal43. Chris Osley in Atwood curve on lap 8 is P6, 0.5 behind Steve OKYAMA. VCTC 5150 is P8, 0.1 behind Etonic. Longi in Piper is P3, 0.4 behind F1 RFAN. L3 Thal43 is 4th, 0.4 behind Longi. Five minutes remaining in the session. Chris Osley in last corner is 6th, 0.2 behind Steve OKYAMA. VCTC 5150 is 8th, 0.3 behind Etonic. Longi on lap 9 is P3, 0.2 behind F1 RFAN. Chris Osley in Atwood curve is 5th battling Steve OKYAMA. Chris Osley is now 4th. Steve OKYAMA on lap 9 is P5 battling Chris Osley. Steve OKYAMA passed Chris Osley for P4. L3 Thal43 in Revolver is P5. Best lap is a 150.014. 1.507 off the fastest lap. L3 Thal43 lost 5th to Chris Osley. VCTC 5150 is P8, 0.5 behind Etonic. F1 RFAN is 3rd, 0.3 behind Steve OKYAMA. Longi is P5, 0.2 behind Chris Osley. VCTC 5150 in first corner is 8th, 0.3 behind Etonic. F1 RFAN is P3, 0.4 behind Steve OKYAMA. Chris Osley is 4th, 0.4 behind F1 RFAN. Etonic in hairpin is P7, 0.1 ahead of VCTC 5150. VCTC 5150 in Piper is 8th, 0.3 behind Etonic. Chris Osley in Hobbs is 4th, 0.3 behind F1 RFAN. VCTC 5150 from Australia in last corner is 8th, 0.4 behind Etonic. F1 RFAN in first corner is P4, 0.3 behind Chris Osley. Longi from Australia in Moss S is P5, 0.4 behind F1 RFAN. Eatonic in Atwood Curve is 7th. Best lap is a 150.020. 1.513 off the fastest lap. BZR 5150 is 8th, 0.1 behind Eatonic. BZR 5150 is now P7. F1 RFAN in Piper is 4th, 0.5 behind Chris Osley. Chris Osley was 0.8 faster last lap. The leader has just finished the race. Alphonse finished P1. Steve Ogier finished 2nd. Chris Osley finished P3. F1 RFAN finished 4th. L3 Thalfort 3 finished P5. Eatonic finished 6th. BZR 5150 finished 7th. Longi finished 8th. Hoggy finished 9th. Huggy 65 finished P10.